Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Black Cathedral, a novel by Marcial Gala and Anna Kushner. Narrated by Kyla García and Gary Tiedemann. Cuba has its cathedrals in the future. José Lezama Lima. Part 1. Maribel García Medina. Besides David King and Samuel Prince, there was an older one, Mary Johannes, she was called. Or still is, because she's alive, and things are going better for her than for us. They arrived in Punta Gótica one day in an old Ford truck with Camagüey plates. I remember them unloading their stuff. Too much furniture for someone moving into a neighborhood like this, I thought from the first.
Johannes Carlos Fernandez Ramirez, a.k.a. Guts. I was playing soccer when they arrived. This can't be good, I thought, because the girl riding in the truck's cab was fanning herself and looking at the neighborhood as if they'd dropped her right at the doors to hell. "One more sucker in town," I said out loud, and went back to doing my thing. The guys were just kids then. Cricket, the older one, already looked like a total nut job. I can take that one. I'll hack him down like a palm tree, I thought, because he was very tall. "Guts, he's so tall, he can't scratch his own ass," Nacho Fat Lips said, and passed me the ball.
Maribel. I've lived here for years, but that doesn't mean I'm tied down here. The thing is that this place, before the riffraff began moving in, was a rooming house for sailors. That was back in the time of the other government, and a nephew of President Machado himself lived in one of the rooms. He'd also met José Martí's son, you know, that Ismaelillo. And actually, it seems that Martí wasn't as famous then as he is now, when he shows up all over the place and you can't even turn on the TV without hearing, "As the apostle of Cuban independence said," and, well, it gets a little old. They say that Ismaelillo was in the business of renting out rooms, and one of his customers was this nephew of Machado's, who owed him for about 6 months. He didn't charge him because on the day that he personally went to kick him out of the house, all of Martí's works were there in a bookcase, cared for like they were made of gold. And Ismaelillo got sentimental and forgave Machado's relative, who, now that I think of it, must have been his nephew by marriage, because no matter how cheap he was, a former president wouldn't have his sister's son renting one of these little rooms that get miserable as hell on a hot day. Now would he? But back to the folks from Camagüey. When they got here, it had been 3 months since I'd broken up with Chago, and well, I really had a thing for everything from the eastern part of the island. And when I heard they were from around there, I went to take a look at the move, specifically so that I could drop a few snide comments here and there, to see if the new neighbor had it in her to hop over and say something to me, to show me up front what this family was really made of.
Berta. I didn't see them arrive, since I was at school. It was my mother who told me that old Castillo's place had been taken over by a family with a girl who was more or less my age, but that she didn't want us getting together right away. "First, you have to get to know people," she said. "That's why things happen to you. You're too trusting." I told her it was fine, that I didn't really want to meet anyone anyway. But after I changed out of my uniform, since I didn't have anything else to do, I sat at the door to our house and looked over at the place that used to belong to Castillo, an old man who, as mean-spirited gossip had it, died of cirrhosis.
Maribel. All of it could have been avoided if they hadn't drawn so much attention. But ever since they arrived, with their stuck-up faces and wearing that fancy gear, The people in the neighborhood fell all over themselves for them. "Did you meet the folks from Camagüey?" Lucy the gum seller asked me, taking over a little plate of sweet potato pudding to the girl, who, according to the mother, was in delicate health. I had seen that young girl, and she seemed healthy as a horse, thin, with slanted eyes. A beautiful black girl, yes, but full of herself. Now she lives in Italy. All the ones like her end up over there. That man from Camagüey ate, lived, and breathed Jesus Christ. Always had him at the tip of his tongue. The day of their arrival, he threw 5 pesos at the kids who were playing soccer so they would help him unload the stuff. And then he came over to greet us. He had a polite smile and a thin, strong, dry hand. "Blessings," he said. "My name is Arturo, and this is my wife, Carmen." "Blessings," echoed that Carmen, who was walking a few steps behind. You could tell she was too hot for a guy like him, in his 50s and pretty run down. You could tell that wouldn't end well. I was shocked when he introduced the kids, since they didn't seem like they were hers. The 3 of them were tall, especially the older boy, David. He was a real beanpole and only 13 years old. The younger one, Prince, held out his elegant, slightly sweaty hand and looked at us with those same slanted eyes as his mother and his sister, and I thought, this one's a fairy. "Please, can you tell me where the Church of the Holy Sacrament is?" the guy asked. "Church of the Holy Sacrament?" was the response. "There's never been anything like that here."
Guts. Jelly. Barbarito, Lupe's kid, named him as soon as he saw him reading right in the middle of the day, as if there were no soccer to play, no girls to check out, no kite to fly, no gas to pass. He said to me, "Guts, if this guy isn't a fairy, he knows where the pixie dust is," especially since the kid was wearing some tight pants, a little too short, that were ugly as sin. "That's the fashion in Camagüey," Berta had to say. She was already defending him back then, saying he looked like Michael Jackson before he bleached his skin, that he was a beautiful black boy, like none other in the neighborhood, and that he was good enough to eat. Not like his brother, who you can tell is kind of loony. "That one's queerer than a $3 bill, Barbarito insisted. "You'll see." Elaine Silva Acosta. The truth is that we were innocent back then, even if our future was already wasted. "No one gets out of this neighborhood alive," someone had written on the side of a house, because the neighborhood was bad, really and truly bad. If you're born black, you're already screwed. Imagine if, in addition, you have to live in the squalid rooming houses of a neighborhood like this. And I'm a university graduate, a psychologist, and even have a master's in business administration. You'd think I wouldn't be so fucked. But with a salary of 400 pesos and no bonus in foreign currency, what can you possibly come up with? Nothing. Armageddon. I didn't see them arrive. They called me when the younger one, Prince, split open Lupe's kid Barbaro's head. He did it with a book. Terrible. Blood everywhere. And I said, somebody's going to get it, because that Lupe isn't rational. She's a fat black woman with arms like Muhammad Ali's and a temper that, well, I don't know what to compare it to. But to say it's short would be an understatement. "Does his mother know yet?" I asked, while I cleaned up the kid's wound. "Not yet. She's out, busting her ass." "When she finds out, she's going to make a lot of noise." "That jelly is going to pay for this. I'll make him suck my balls, goddammit. I'll cut off his dick. Shit. God damn," Barbarito said, his eyes tearing up, not looking like he could hurt anyone. Guts. Jelly. because he was like a dark substance, almost like water, but when you look closer, you realize it's fat, thick, and heavy. Jelly, because he looked at us with those wide eyes, like a girl's. He was really thin. He'd smile at the drop of a hat, and then get into some terrible fights. He knew how to fight, not with his hands, but by picking up rocks, sand, sticks, cans, whatever there was. He hit Barbarito with the edge of a book. It was a quick, skilled, and cunning blow, as if he'd practiced a lot. This dude has a future in the neighborhood, I thought. If Lupe doesn't throw the whole family out on their ass, she'll make such a racket that they'll pack up and fly back to Camagüey. They won't know how to react when Lupe comes around, asking about her son's cracked skull, and stands there with her feet planted, screaming for someone to take responsibility, with a go to hell and a fuck your mother to everyone from Camagüey, Ciego de Ávila, the eastern part of the island, and even from Haiti.
Aurora, neighbor. They had been in Cienfuegos for 3 days and had already cracked somebody's skull, and not just anyone's. It was Bárbaro, Lupe's son, Urbieta's stepson. That day, the parents and the girl, that Johannes, who always rubbed me the wrong way, had gone out. At home, only the 2 boys were left, so the younger one, after Bárbaro came out screaming and bleeding, he went inside as if nothing had happened. And I think he started watching television. He didn't say, "I'll kill anyone who calls me a maricón." He didn't say, "I'm a maricón, but whoever calls me that has to fuck me or I'll kill him." He didn't say, "You've got to jerk me off." He didn't say, "You have no respect." None of that. All he did, when Bárbaro approached him and said to him, "You're like a little bit of jelly that I just want to eat up. You're hotter than your sister, and man, she's hot." He picked up his book, turned it on its side, and dropped it with shocking speed. And that was the end of Barbarito being fresh. That was as far as he got. Maribel. I mean, what kind of black person thinks of naming their sons David King and Samuel Prince? That's just setting them up to think they deserve the world. I would have named one of them Nardo and the other one Paco, and that would be that. And if they didn't like it, they could deal with it. Although now that I think about it, any name can fuck you up, or get you fucked. The book was one of those that has a hard cover, although it wasn't a Bible, or something by Lenin, or a volume of Martí's complete works. It was some kind of poetry, I'm sure of it, because it had a lot of little figures on the front, and didn't seem like it would be about anything too serious. But anyway, he really clocked Bárbaro with that book. If that didn't teach him his letters, they're never getting in there, I thought. You have to be really tough to hit someone like that when you've just moved in. Really tough or really ignorant of how things work in a neighborhood like this one. You have to be from Pinar del Rio, actually, and not from Camagüey.
Bárbaro Suárez Rosales. Give him a hard one to the belly. Then take him to the train tracks and crush his head against the rails, and wait for a train to come. Then force him to put a foot on the line. If he's left-handed, then the left one. If he's right-handed, then the other one. Then piss on him. First once, then again piss on him. And if you still feel like it, shit on his face. But don't let him touch your ass while you're shitting on him. You don't want anyone to think you're a fag. Do him in. He's not worth a dime. Finish him, so you get respect and not whatever the hell it is they think of you now. That's what my mother told me when Jelly cracked my skull. She said, "Let's go, damn it. We're going so you can crack his skull open. I'll fuck up anyone who gets in the way." Let's go. Guts. When they came over, a cowboy show was on TV. Not like the crap ones they have today, but the old ones, the ones with the Villalobos brothers. and all of us kids were focused on the TV. Anyway, 3 knocks came at the door, sounding like cannon fire. Barbaro. That Arturo opened the door for us. "Blessings. How can I help you, good people?" he said to us, in that way he had of speaking. So soft, it was like he had a turd stuck in his throat. "I don't even believe in my own mother who birthed me, so save your breath," my mother said. "Your good-for-nothing son cracked open Barbarito's head, and he has to come out and fight him. Barbarito is nobody's fool. He needs to be shown some respect. So let's have your little gumdrop, or whatever the fuck he is. I don't understand a thing. You're going to have hell to pay." I don't understand a thing. You're going to have hell to pay. That was how my mother talked. Later, after she had the stroke, Urbieta, who had already gotten out of jail, left her for someone else. And my mother, 50-some years old, had to spend her days washing floors, white people's floors. And since the stroke had left her kind of dopey, no one respected her. "La Lupe, your son is a transvestite," they would say to her. "A maricón." "Swear it isn't true," she would say to me when she saw me come in. "Of course it's not true," I would assure her. "I'm a man. It's art, what I do. I get dressed and make myself up as a woman, as a form of art. It was Jelly who got that into your head, who hurt you, that son of a bitch. You were so macho, my son, very macho. You never liked Pinga. I know you didn't." "No, Mama," I'd say, and as I closed my eyes, it would be that April afternoon again, when my mother and I went to the Stuart's house to bust Jelly's head. "David King, present yourself," Stuart said. So Cricket popped out his crazy-ass face. "Not that one," I said. "It was the other one." "What do you mean, the other one?" the father said. "Take a good look at him, boy. Surely it was this one." "No," I said. "It was the other one. The gentle one." "Impossible. The other one is an irreproachable gentleman." "Irreproachable my ass," said my mother. "Call him out here, before I come in and find him." "Go in, David King," the man said. And then, "Listen, ma'am, why don't we straighten all this out inside the house? I'm sure that with God's favor, we can come to an agreement." "No," my mother said. "Tell that worthless son of yours to come out already. If you don't, I'll be the one who goes in there and starts swinging." "Excuse me, but you will not go into my house without my permission, and I assure you that your son must be mistaken. Samuel Prince is incapable of treating another of God's children like that. Come in the right way, and let's settle this. At the end of the day, we're not animals. The Spirit of God dwells within us all. Speak for yourself." "Come in," the man insisted. "Please."
Maribel. A guy who used money to settle things, like the white people in Punta Gorda. He had that defect, or that virtue, depending on how you look at it. He paid La Lupe 500 pesos to keep her quiet. At least that's what she said. Maybe she settled for 50. La Lupe. Tough act and all. She was always a pushover. You would have had to kill me. I'll smash the brains out of anyone who touches a child of mine. The guy's a real moneybags, the whole neighborhood said, and people began to beat down his door. If someone stole a bicycle, they went to see him. "Arturo, you dig these wheels? See how new this is, it's straight from the store." If a woman was trying to hustle, she would wait for Carmen to leave before going to see him. "Listen, Arturo, I need 100 pesos and don't have any way to pay you back. Look, here's my body." But he was all, "Blessings, sister." He said the same thing to everyone, without getting into any business. And as for the whores, they soon stopped visiting him. It was around then that the bigger of the two boys decided to start singing. That's when we named him Cricket, because what came out of his mouth was pure honey. He could have been in a reggaeton band. That voice of his was so good.
Guts. We let Cricket in from the beginning. He was kind of crazy, but at least he didn't seem like a fairy, and he played soccer pretty good. But his thing was baseball. When we said to him, "Hey man, we don't play ball here. You've got to get out of the neighborhood for that," he was kind of sad, but then he forgot about it. I was sure he was kind of slow, like my brother, Tere, who was at Tato Madruga, the school for retards, and I'd ask him things. "Hey, Cricket, how much is 6 times 6? 36, he would say. And I would tell myself, it can't be 36. This idiot doesn't know. But when I asked other people, they also said it had been 36 for years, and should still be, unless math had changed and the news hadn't reached the neighborhood yet. Later, I'd ask him, "Hey, Cricket, what's the deal with America? Who discovered it? Columbus? So was Columbus white or black? White, Guts, blonde and blue-eyed." Basically, he knew a lot for a brown kid, 'cause that's what he was, brown. But I liked him. It was the other one I couldn't stand. He was too pretty, always so clean, always reading. His parents treated him even more gently than the girl, who really was hot.
Maribel. He hated for his son to sing. If he came home early from work and heard Cricket's voice, he'd say to everyone, "Blessings," and then he'd say, "One artist in the family is enough. Come in, David King." And the kid would go into the house without daring to lift his head to look at his father. We soon found out that he beat him. Guts was the one who said so. He went up on the roof, peeked in a window, and saw how old Stuart removed his wide leather belt to hit his son on the back. After that, we thought Cricket wouldn't sing anymore. But with that kid, singing was an obsession. As soon as old Stuart went out to the shop with his mechanic's tools, Cricket would start singing. It didn't matter to him if it was a Marco Antonio Solís song or a bolero by Orlando Contreras. It didn't matter if Aurora, Berta's mom, took out her guitar to accompany him, or if Nacho Fatlip started to play a rumba on the box drum. And when there was no accompaniment, he did it a cappella. Cricket sang whatever. His mother would come to the door and say, "David, please stop that. Your father will lose it with me."
Ibrahim Salazar. The Church of the Holy Sacrament of the Resurrected Christ. When Stuart arrived from Camagüey, no more than a dozen people in Cienfuegos had heard of our congregation, and across the whole province there weren't even 20 of us, 8 of whom lived in Aguada and 3 in Cruces, making it difficult to depend on them for anything practical. The pastor of the Cienfuegos Sacramentalists was named Basulto, an intelligent young guy, but cold and aloof. Arturo Stuart had charisma and a knack with crowds. He was a natural leader, and a church like the Sacramentalist one, which is inspired by ancient Greek rites, fit like a glove on someone given to manners and mystery. Besides, he had his son Prince. The kid knew how to speak. He knew how to be convincing. He had read the Bible with purpose and knew how to cite verses correctly. Even his siblings would fall silent, watching him as if the angel of the Lord himself were speaking through his mouth. Everybody liked that. Cubans have a penchant for the corny and sentimental, and on worship Sundays, Basulto's house would fill up. Certainly, another factor was that Arturo had cemented friendships with the denomination's pastors in several U.S. states, and they began to send us contributions, or assistance, as we also called it. Such assistance took the form of electric razors, soap, toys for the children, shoes, clothing, and kitchen utensils, even Bibles, worship books, and videos, which gave us an idea of the Sacramentalist Church's power in the U.S. In 6 months, we went from 20 people to almost 1,000. Few, in a sense, but for a congregation as strict as the Sacramentalists, that was legion. So, Basulto's house, big as it was, came to be completely insufficient, and we decided to worship at the house of our good sister, Elizabeth. Ricardo Mora Gutierrez, a.k.a. Gringo. I had killed my first guy. I slashed his neck and didn't stop until his eyes were like a dead cow's. "Who has the biggest cock now?" I asked him. Then I cleaned the switchblade with the sleeveless shirt he had been wearing to show off. "Now what do we do, Gringo?" Porkchop asked me. "That's the easy part. We cut him up. The guy came from Cabaywan. No one is going to miss him. You'll see. Get the bike, but pedal slowly. You don't want anyone to mess with you. And start telling suckers that you have some high-quality meat. When you're done with that, go to the hiding place and bring over the boning knife. But first, wash yourself and change your clothes, 'cause you fucking reek of moonshine." "But we don't have any," Porkchop said. "But we don't have any what? Soap? Meat, Gringo. Meat. What about this? Grade A meat. Damn, Gringo. You're a genius. You ain't seen nothing yet. Get moving, but calmly. I'll start preparing this veal." He came all the way from Santi Espiritu to end up like this. Some guys really are a special kind of stupid, I thought, looking at the deceased, who had been left with an idiotic expression on his face that made me feel a smidgen of pity. But you gotta fuck life before it fucks you, my mother used to say, and this guy had come to fuck us, so he got what he had coming to him. The first thing I did was remove his huge-ass gold chain. Then I took out the wad of cash from his backpack and found the piece, one of those Makaroffs that always jams. What a useless piece of shit you are, I thought. Who thinks of putting a gun in his backpack? Idiots must be a dime a dozen in Cabaywan. "Hey, man, do you know where you can buy a motorcycle? A really good one. An MZT or something like that. None of this Carpati or Benjovina shit." The guy had asked me right at the door of La Mimbre. I was selling shades, but the minute I saw him, I thought, this Guajiro, this peasant, had cash. "I might know," I told him. "Who can say? The only fortune teller here is God." "But it has to have the paperwork in order. I came from Cabaywan because they had set one aside for me, and when I got here, they didn't have the title. This one has everything. It's just waiting for a guy like you to ride it. It's almost new. I like that. Is it an MZT? No, a Harley-Davidson that my cousin the sailor brought from Panama." "Really?" "Just like I said. It's going to be really expensive." "No, about the same as a Jawa, and it's got the kind of engine that, well, when you ride it into Cabaywan, all of those Guajiros are going to go nuts." "Let's go see it." "Do you have the money on you?" The useless piece of shit said yes. Then he saw something in my eyes, regretted it, and said he had hidden it at the house of a girlfriend, just in case. I said, "You're not a cop, are you?" "Cop? Me? No way. I'm a normal guy." "You can tell. But we're already talking too much. Let's go to my cousin's house so you can see the hog." "Let's go." I took him to San Lazaro, and he was all, "Your cousin lives in a pretty bad place." The thing is, his wife threw him out, and he had to come here, motorcycle and all, and he's scared about it getting stolen. That's why he's going to sell it, for peace of mind. We got to Porkchop's room. "Cuz? Listen, Tarugo, are you there?" "What a surprise, Gringo. How's life going, my man?" Piggy said from inside, with a grin ear to ear, thinking I had come to collect the money he owed me. But you could tell that he'd been drinking. He stank of rotgut and piss, and the Guajiro practically took off. "I'll wait for you outside. These sailors really drink a lot." I smiled. "But have a seat, man. Have a seat." the Guajiro sat down, and I asked Piggy, "Hey, Tarugo, how's the bike?" What bike, he was going to ask, but I...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?